We are hanging out in Carlisle today, and it has some truly great spots, including boutiques, cafes, and historical sites. It's your homegirl and realtor, Amanda, and this channel is about all things Central PA. Cute towns, great coffee shops, and beautiful houses. If you like any of those things, like, subscribe, and gong that bell. Carlisle boasts a population of around 22,000. Its busy streets are not quite urban, and yet it's not quite a quiet, sleepy town either. It's home to Dickinson Law University, as well as the Army War College and Carlisle Army Barracks, drawing an eclectic group of people. The streets of Carlisle are beautifully lined with charming boutiques and restaurants, and there are plenty of events between Dickinson University, arts festivals, and historical sites. Maybe you're from Central PA, or maybe you're thinking of relocating to this area. I'm going to show you around town, but as some of you may know, my first stop is always coffee. And I've got a positively adorable cafe to show you. Just make sure first that you aren't allergic to cats.
Welcome to Roundabout Bagels, the Carlisle Cat Cafe. Here we currently have 9 kitty cats running around, all up for adoption with our Furry Friends Network. It is $10 per person to hang out for 30 minutes, $15 per person to hang out for an hour. That's our friendly kitty cat, Punky Rooster. And then while here, you get free coffee, tea, and hot chocolate.
Oh
my god!
And then this happened. That is so funny. Well, hello. You are beautiful. I think so. The cuteness overload was real, but I think we should hit up some of the shops in Carlisle. First up is Birch Iris, and can I just say what a beautiful boutique it is? The colors and presentation draw you in, but the clothing, jewelry, and gifts were truly of quality. I'll definitely be back to shop. Also, the owner of this boutique was working and personally styling a customer who was trying on clothing. You just can't beat shopping local.
Well, we're Birch Iris. We're a women's clothing boutique in downtown Carlisle, and we're so happy to have you here.
Thank Like most college towns, Carlisle is a very walkable town. If you live in town, you could very easily step outside of your house and take a walk down the block to the nearby coffee shop or farmer's market or movie theater. But if rural is more your pace, just a couple miles outside of town are the rolling fields of Pennsylvania that so many people do love. Don't get me wrong, this is still Central PA, and you would still need to have a vehicle to get to grocery stores or probably your employment or whatnot. Next stop is Georgie Lou's Retro Candy, and this drew my eye because how fun is that to be able to find candies that aren't even around anymore? And I was really curious how they found those candies, but I didn't ask. The candy shop was really cute, and in a couple corners they had some retro gifts. some of which having to do with the Goonies or the Princess Bride, and then they had a whole corner dedicated to Harry Potter. As you made your way back through, there were all kinds of old style candies, international candies, and even some very strange flavored sodas, which I may or may not have bought a pickle flavored soda just for giggles. As I left the candy shop, I couldn't believe my ears as these church bells pealed out across town. It would be a shame to come to Carlisle and not cover some of the incredible history that happened here. Those of you out there who are history buffs may already know some of the history that went down in Carlisle, but I had no idea, and some of which took place right here at the Cumberland County Courthouse. Built in 1846 with sandstone columns and an impressive bell tower that stands over 100 feet in and of itself, this location served as a tipping point during the Civil War as both the site of the McClintock slave riot and battle between Confederate General Jeb Stuart and Union General William Smith. John McClintock, a law professor at Dickinson University, was accused of inciting a riot when he and 34 African American citizens of Carlisle showed up here in June of 1847. McClintock arrived to dispute a judge's decision to return 3 African American enslaved people to their slaveholders in Hagerstown, Maryland. Lloyd Brown, his daughter Anna, who was 10 years old, and Hester, a woman who was married to a man living in Carlisle, were at the mercy of this decision. McClintock arrived, citing that Pennsylvania law had been changed in March of that year, stating procuring of slaves back to the slaveholder was now prohibited. His abolitionist views preceded him. He and the brave people who stood up against the judge and many others in town created national headlines raising conscience against slavery and fueling the fire for the Civil War. A few years later, during the Civil War, on July 1, 1863, Confederate General Jeb Stuart demanded that Union General William Smith surrender Carlisle, to which Smith replied, "Shell and be damned." And shell they did. You can still see the damage from that shelling here on one of the columns and also at this window. For one last little bit of history, we're going to talk about Molly Pitcher, who was actually Mary Ludwig Hayes, and she lived with her husband William in Carlisle during the Revolutionary War. William enlisted in the Continental Army on artillery. Like many women of the day, Mary, or Molly as we'll refer to her, followed her husband and assisted with mundane tasks or the, quote, women's work of the day, cooking, washing, etc. However, when William became wounded in the Battle of Monmouth in New Jersey, a critical battle that became a stalemate resulting in many casualties, Molly stepped up to the plate and continued William's job by manning, or womaning, the cannon. A fellow soldier and diarist later wrote that a cannon shot from the enemy passed directly between her legs without doing any damage other than carrying away all the lower part of her petticoat. To which she appeared unconcerned and continued working the artillery. George Washington himself noted her valor and promoted her to non-commissioned officer, thus her new nickname, Sergeant Molly. Well, Sergeant Molly, we salute you as one of our country's foremothers. Thank you for your service. Speaking of service, Carlisle is home to the U.S. Army War College and the U.S. Army Heritage and Education Center. The Army Heritage Trail is a 1-mile loop that pays homage to U.S. Army veterans. It's located on the Carlisle Barracks and the U.S. Army War College, and it's the nation's second oldest active military base. The first structures were built in 1757. The Army Heritage Trail takes you past military vehicles and depictions of various operations in American history. It's a great place to take a walk on a sunny day, bring the kids to run, and it's even dog friendly. As I made my way through the trail, look who I found. It's my husband, Mark, and he suggested our next stop should be dinner at Cafe Bruges. That is so tender, but crispy on the outside, and it has this mushroom sauce on it that is outstanding. So
Good.
So my sister-in-law Shannon said I had to get the fries and I had to get the horseradish sauce. That sauce has a real kick, and these fries are so crunchy.
Good.
Yeah? If you are thinking of relocating to Central PA, Carlisle boasts a little bit of everything. There are historic homes both in town and on the rural back roads, and plenty of new builds and townhouses if that's more your speed. Please don't hesitate to call or email if you have any questions about relocating to or within Central PA. I've got you covered. This has been super fun bringing you along on a day in Carlisle. See you next time when I visit the sweetest place on earth, Hershey, Pennsylvania.